Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the life and the death of TinyHawk 2 Freestyle. In life, he was a good quad. He did many great things in the front and backyard. But I think this verse from the book of Emax sums him up the best. He was a 2S drone with 1102 motors and 2.5-inch props. His maximum VTX output was 200 milliwatts on analog. And he ran the D8 FR-Sky protocol. Now I'd like to invite some of his best friends to say a few words about him now. He was always a good friend to me. We had very similar prop sizes and shared many of the same flight spots. He always ripped them harder than I did, but he didn't have ducks getting in the way. I'm going to miss my best friend, TinyHawk 2 Freestyle. Thank you, Cinerace, for speaking so kindly of our mutual friend. He was such a great little drone. So many packs in the backyard we shared together. And now I'm gonna place one last pack on him as he moves on to the next world. You enjoyed that, buddy. That's your last one. I know they said your last flight ended in a crash that no longer made you flyable. But I know what really happened to you. Nobody can tell me that you broke an arm and you'll fly no more. I know you're moving on because you no longer felt loved. Because there was another drone flying in your yard, and that drone broke your heart. And that's what killed you. I know deep down that's what it was. And that drone is here today to see what it has done. That drone is right here watching us right now. That drone is right there. I swear it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I just was having fun in the backyard like him. I looked up to him. Yeah, I was faster and I ran on the same packs and I could freestyle better, but just because he flew me more than you, it doesn't mean it was my fault. It wasn't my fault. Hey everybody, I'm Bacon Ninja, and although the TinyHawk 2 Freestyle isn't actually dead, still flies just fine, it is dead to me. Now I didn't just toss that drone into a corner because I hate it, it's actually a really great drone. The Emax TinyHawk 2 Freestyle was by far one of my favorite drones that I have ever flown. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because there's a lot of opportunities in FPV to get stick time. Right? We can go out with our 5-inch drones and we can rip a bando or a park or wherever has the space for our 5-inch drones. Or we could play with micros. But normally that means tiny whoops and not a lot of fun to fly. The TinyHawk 2 Freestyle actually bridged that gap quite a bit. Being a 2S drone with big enough props and fast little motors, it was pretty good at freestyle. But it was FR-Sky and it had a really bad power connector and the VTX wasn't ever great, and I wound up upgrading those things on that drone over time. But this drone killed that drone for me. And I know this drone didn't think it was its fault, but it is, because this is the PorkChop 3-inch toothpick. This is a 1S drone running HDZero's Whoop Lite digital system, and it comes in right around 70 grams, but not with a 1S pack. That's with a 2S pack, because this drone is actually capable of running on 2S. And I have shown this drone on the channel before. In fact, I did a whole build video, and then I did a follow-up video when I took it digital, because the original actually was analog. But one thing I haven't shown you is how it flies on 2S. So, like I was saying about stick time, we can get stick time by going and flying our big drones, or we can get stick time on something like this. If you have a small backyard and think that you can't become a better FPV pilot because of your small backyard limitation, and you don't get to go fly big places very often, well, think again, because that's what I've been using this thing for. And actually, it was built specifically for that reason. I built this to replace the TinyHawk 2 Freestyle, and that's what I've been using it for in my backyard. And my backyard's only about 12 foot by 30 foot. Correction, I have no idea what I was talking about. A 12 foot by 30 foot backyard would be the definition of insanity. No, it's more like 30 by 50. I'm sorry. It's still a small backyard, right? 30 by 50? That's not a whole lot of space. You can fit like 3 tents back there, maybe? If you want to camp in your backyard for some reason, you freaking weirdo. So regardless of the inconsistency in my ability to measure my backyard, it is not very big, but it is still perfect for getting stick time. I think that it is the best way to get stick time, because if you can rip a small backyard like mine, you can rip a much bigger place with any drone you want, really, big or small, because you have the skills and reaction of a small place that you've ripped. I do freestyle in my backyard all the time. In fact, I'm going to show you some of it here in a little bit, but we're not there yet. And I do crash a lot, and I'm going to show you some of that too. But don't skip ahead. This isn't an invitation to skip to the fun bit at the end. You have to endure through this stuff before you can get there. So don't do that to me. Just stay here. Hang out a little bit longer. It'll be there at the end though. And you're definitely going to want to hang in for that, because I did crash quite a few times. But what I want to tell you today is don't be afraid to rip your backyard. Full send it. If you want to build something like the PorkChop to do your full sending, more power to you. If you want to do it with a TinyHawk 2 Freestyle, you're welcome to. I promise it will do it as well. If you want to do it with a whoop, then congratulations, that's way harder than doing it with open props. If you can do it with a whoop, I congratulate you. You are good. But before I show you the freestyle footage on the 2S, I just want to remind you that I haven't actually shown 2S footage in freestyle on the channel before. I think I did one minor edit a little bit back on 2S, but I wasn't real clear that I was flying 2S. It was just kind of for fun. But this is on 2S, and this is me just in the backyard, ripping part of a pack on 2S. Check it out, see what you think. So after watching that, can you tell me that you can't rip a backyard? You can absolutely rip a backyard. I full sent this PorkChop in the backyard. No, I don't have a bunch of obstacles. I don't have a bunch of cool things to fly around back there. But what I did have, I used to the best of my ability, which is exactly the point, because all we're trying to do as pilots is increase the best of our ability. And we won't know what that is if we aren't using it. So get out there, don't be afraid to crash. I crashed a bunch of times. I'm still gonna show you that, and you still should not skip ahead to it, because we're still talking about it right now. I know, it's really hard to resist, but trust me, it'll be there at the end. You don't need it right now. Just go out and get some stick time in your backyard, because it's totally viable. You spend a lot of time on simulators, maybe you spend a lot of time flying 5-inch, but you could be spending an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes a day flying 2 or 3 packs in your backyard, getting your stick time in, working on those thumb skills, and have a lot of fun doing it. And yes, you're gonna crash and beat the crap out of your drone. It's gonna happen, no doubt about it. But it's totally worth it because that skill translates. And the next time you go out to a bigger place, you're gonna find that you're just suddenly more confident, more comfortable. You can go around obstacles faster. Maybe you could do your proxy a little bit better. And that's all because of the small amount of packs that you've spent in your backyard. And now that we've talked about that, it's time for what you're actually waiting for. Disarm. It's that time again that you just need to go to this timestamp. You're about to witness something that you do not want to see, and if you do not know what it is, you should just skip ahead to the timestamp. I'm warning you now, you don't want to be here for what is coming. So go ahead and just skip to the timestamp now. Trust me. As usual, if you are still here, then you know what's coming. And what is coming now is an embarrassment for all of my crazy patrons. These people somehow decided that it would be a good idea to make the worst financial decision possible and give me a little bit of money every month. All I ever wanted was a like or maybe a subscription to please the algorithmic gods at YouTube, but instead these people have found it within their insane hearts to give me money instead. And there were 5 of them, but now there are 6 of them, and the insanity just keeps growing like some kind of transmitted disease. I'm not sure what to call it, but there is something wrong with these people's brains. And for that, I'm going to shame them now by putting their names on bacon and saying them in a really weird way. Channel FPV, TX13FPV, Dylan H, Free Range Chicken RC, Logan R. No, but seriously, I know I just shamed them all, but they are wonderful, and I couldn't do this channel without them. I do not accept any form of payment for these videos. I don't accept any sponsorships from vendors. I don't use any affiliate links, so I make absolutely nothing from the content I put here. And if it wasn't for the people on Patreon like this supporting the channel, there's no way I could continue to bring new things to the channel and make fun videos like this. So I'm actually really amazed by the generosity of these people and thank them tremendously. Now back to the content. And yes, I intentionally made you wait through that Patreon horror show because I knew you would probably skip ahead to this. And if you did, you sly dog, you. If not, thanks for actually hanging in there. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through as I ramble about this. I'm still a little bit off from having COVID. I'm still very tired and very hot and sweaty all the time. So I'm a little bit insane right now, more than usual. But now it actually is time to show you the fun bit where I did all the crashing. So what I'm going to show you here is all the crashes from the 6 packs that I flew in my backyard when I got that freestyle footage. I only flew 6. They were all 2S. I didn't fly them all to capacity. I did crash a lot though. And what you're going to hear is the audio from my HDZero VRX. And I'm not actually going to put any music in the background of this because I think it speaks for itself. But you will hear how hard the crashes are. And that is the point of showing them to you. I am not holding back on these crashes. I am going into things full throttle, full speed. This is the HDZero Whoop Lite VTX, which people are very concerned about breaking. However, I will clearly show you that I've pummeled it into things that shouldn't be pummeled into with a drone like this. And it still flies just fine. In fact, all I did was I bent 2 props, but props are easily replaceable. So without further ado, here's the fun bit that you're actually waiting for. Oops. Hey, it almost came back to me. Well, that was horrible. And that is exactly what the PorkChop was designed for. Like I said, if you have a TinyHawk 2 Freestyle or a similar open prop 1S, 2S drone, go rip your backyard. It's totally worth the time. I designed this just to rip my backyard because I wanted to full send even harder and I wanted to do it in digital, and this allows me to do that. But it doesn't have to be this. It can be anything. Just spend the time in your backyard. Don't let anybody tell you you can't full send and have a lot of freestyle fun, even in a small space with not much to fly around. I promise it's still a blast. But thank you very much for hanging in there through the video. If you did skip ahead, let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to know who you are so I can watch out for you next time. If you're interested in building a PorkChop, go check out the build video. All the stuff's in there, and then you might check out the conversion to digital video because it was analog and now it is digital, and you might want to know about that too. There are a few slight considerations there. But thank you again for your time. It's been a blast. Couldn't do this without all of your lovely support. We're a little over 1,400 subscribers now, and I still can't believe that more than 5 people actually want to watch this junk on my channel. But for some reason, you keep coming back. It's that insanity I'm always talking about. But until next time, stay greasy, and I'll catch you later. He was always such a good friend to me. We had similar prop sizes, but I ran higher KV motors. No,